Hey, everybody, welcome to another week of The Sense of Things. Ron and I are back after our trips to Philadelphia, and we were in the same town, and we still weren't able to hook up. We're back via virtual at this point. We'll see you guys today on the show. We've got, of course, This Week in History. Ron's got some stuff on Disney advertisers complaining about next year's Super Bowl prices. Ron's got some interesting stuff on businesses morphing over time to different businesses. And then a little piece on the economy. What sectors of the economy are slowing? I'm going to cover econ today like I usually do, and really some interesting numbers today. So stay tuned. We'll be right back on in just a second. Everybody, welcome to the show. Ron, how are you, my friend?
Good. I was ready to go and meet you for cheesesteaks. It's not my fault you booked a tour somewhere in the middle of all that.
I know. It was they were shutting down Independence Hall for 2 days to do like a sprinkler system upgrade. And so there was one window for a tour that we could get into.
It makes no sense because that would have been over the weekend, even though it was crappy weather there.
No, it was funny. It was like they were doing it from, I think, because we were going to meet on Thursday. They were doing it from like Thursday through Saturday for some weird reason.
Must have been a union thing. I don't know.
Yeah, they just had to do it then. But yeah, so it was a good trip and good seeing your town of birth there. But we
No, it's the United States state of birth. I was born in L.A.
Oh, okay. Then never mind.
I spent the majority of my life in the Philly, South Jersey area.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to tell you, Thursday and Friday weather was fantastic. Saturday and Sunday just reminded me why I need to get back to Arizona.
Gross. Yeah, it was gross. Yeah, it was nice.
Rainy,
to cool down
rainy,
a little bit.
cold, dark, and damp. Not good.
Yep. All the time there. For most of the week, it was that way. Well, cool. What happened in history?
All right, here we go. So actually, it started out slow here when I was putting it together, and it ended up being some interesting things. 1789 this week, George Washington gives first presidential inaugural address.
Very cool.
1865, John Wilkes Booth is finally captured and is killed.
Nice. Or maybe he wasn't. He may have died in Texas.
I think they got, what was it, North Carolina? Where did they get him? I forgot.
No, they got him in Virginia, but then there was a guy in Texas that supposedly, it was like right out that Granbury, Texas, which is outside of where I grew up, that said that he was John Wilkes Booth. And it was just this whole goofy thing.
All right. 1918, GM buys Chevrolet. And this is just the beginning of some interesting GM news the same week.
Okay.
1926, Ford Motor Company becomes one of the first companies to adopt a 40-hour, 5-day work week. And I think child labor laws came into effect somewhere around there too.
Yeah, because it was like 6 days a week and more hours, if I remember
like
correctly.
12 hours a day.
Yeah.
With Sundays off. But they had kids working as young as 8, 9, and 10 years old.
As they
20,
should.
30, 40 hours a week.
As they should.
Okay, there you go.
What do they need school for?
So 1931, Empire State Building finally dedicated. This could never, ever happen again. I believe, don't hold me to this. They broke ground on the Empire State Building in either 28 or 29, and they built that literally in 2 or 3 years.
Right during the middle of the stock market crash.
But that building today would take 6 years, maybe 7, between permitting, unions, materials. I could only imagine. I'd love someone to actually figure out what it would cost in today's dollars and how, and literally because of permitting and everything else, what it was. Because remember, this got caught right in the middle of the Great Depression.
Yeah.
So they were actually getting some subsidization from the government to keep people working. And then the Chrysler building went up after this and a few other buildings in New York. But
and I think the funny part is it really didn't even have tenants until the early 40s. So it basically just sat there empty with just a few tenants at that point. But we did see an example of this. If you remember the Freedom Tower, that thing took like friggin' 12 years to build.
And that's not as tall as the Empire State Building, I don't believe.
No, it's taller.
Is it? Okay.
Yep.
Wasn't sure. But then the first King Kong came out in 1933, where
Yeah.
he climbed the Empire State Building.
Yeah. And then everybody's, hey, we've got to put our business in that building because the monkey climbed it.
Actually, you know what? And in 2001, when the first Spider-Man came out,
That's
there
right.
was a scene where he puts a web between the two twin towers to capture whatever villain there was. And then when 9/11 happened, they had to pull that scene out.
Yeah.
All right. 1941,
Citizen.
arguably one of the best movies ever made. Citizen Kane was made. Do you remember the original name of this movie?
But wasn't it Rosebud?
No, it was
Oh,
American.
interesting.
And loosely, but partially, whose life was it based after?
William Randolph Hearst, who got royally
Correct.
pissed at Orson Welles for making the movie.
Like I said, loosely, but if you parallel a lot of the guy's life, it was probably 60 to 70% similar events.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
1945, rather ironically, same week, Benito Mussolini was executed and Adolf
Mm.
Hitler commits suicide.
Yeah. Wow.
I think
Well,
that's
I
big
guess that,
award
that made
point.
sense because Hitler was like, not going to happen.
The interesting thing is that they have pictures of Mussolini being executed. I think he was hung and shot. Who the hell knows? They
Beaten
tortured him.
up, hung upside down.
Well, when they found Hitler, I don't remember any pictures being taken.
Because
Which
they,
you
yeah,
would
they
assume
didn't
there
find
would be.
Hitler. They burned his body outside.
I understand that, but don't you think that just for historical evidence and everything else, they would have taken pictures?
Yeah. Now, if you
I mean,
follow,
look, the guy was sick and demented. He wasn't sure if the cyanide pills were going to work. Do you know what he did to test the pills first?
what?
He gave one to his German Shepherd.
Yeah, there you go. Kill the dog too.
Yeah.
Jeez. Freak.
1954, polio vaccine trials begin. I thought this was earlier, but this was 1954 that started.
Yeah. Cool.
1972, J. Edgar Hoover, the infamous crossdresser, ends a 5-decade era at the FBI. And the amazing thing is that there was an agreement with the secretary that if he died, the first thing that she would do was destroy all of his secret files.
Yep.
Can you imagine what would have been in these files if somebody?
Oh, I
hadn't
can
been
only
hacked?
imagine what was in those files. He was basically blackmailing people for years with that.
He hated Kennedy. He hated Martin Luther King.
Yep.
He had something on everybody. 1993, World Wide Web launches in the public domain. I thought it was earlier than that, but I knew the World Wide Web's been around. They've said several decades, but this was, I think, the first year that happened. And you know what? Interesting enough, remembering in the archives of my mind, it was like 95 where all of a sudden it took like this spike up. People were interested. And by 96, people were getting email addresses and getting online with their 28.8 baud modems and their 56 baud modems.
You've got mail.
I was AOL, but yeah.
Yep.
2004, this surprised me a little bit. World War II monument opens in Washington, D.C. I can't remember the year the Vietnam War Memorial went up the wall, but I have a feeling it might have been before.
Easily.
This.
Long before that.
So why did it take so long to do a World War II monument?
I have no idea. They just never did. It wasn't, and it was Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks that pushed it to get it done because it's after they did Saving Private Ryan that they were both like, why do we not have something for the World War II veterans?
I didn't really dig in and research. I didn't have time. I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it was hilarious because I'm like, okay, it's the biggest generation of war fighters we ever had. And I think so many of those just think that generation was like, you know what, we want to put it behind us. We don't want to really remember this stuff. And there just wasn't a push.
It was more about Vietnam. World War II was remembered for more bravery and courage.
Well, it was, but you didn't have you just didn't have the push from that generation to go, hey, we want a memorial. There was much more of a push from the Vietnam generation to say, we want to remember this and we want to show that it's a national scar. But I just think those guys were just a different animal.
I get it. Look, there was 50,000 soldiers that died in Vietnam.
Yep.
I'm gonna get my numbers wrong, but wasn't it closer to 1,000,000 of our soldiers that
And
died in World War II?
yeah, like about 750,000. So yeah.
Yeah. I don't
I don't, yeah. They're just a different breed. I watched the thing last night on Expedition X or Expedition History or whatever with Josh Gates, and there was this whole thing I had never even heard of. This unit that like was they were all artists and all these guys and stuff like that. I thought they were just in Britain, but they actually went onto the battlefields and they were like creating fake armies and stuff like that and blow up tanks and things like that and just completely screwing with the Germans. And nobody in this unit talked ever. It wasn't until it wasn't until 2011 or 12 that this one journalist found out about this and publicized it. And there's like when it was recognized, there was only like 3 or 4 of these guys left in this unit. But yeah, they just didn't want to talk, or he said don't talk about it, so we just never talked about it. So they were
Yeah,
just a different breed.
yeah, I agree. So the kinda the beginning of the end of the denouement of really, I'm not to be 100% anti-union, but,
Mm,
how unions just really helped destroy a lot of our auto manufacturers starting in the late '60s
mm,
and '70s and
yep.
the innovation and whatever. 2004, GM ends Oldsmobile
It's old one, yeah,
production,
yeah.
and then with the financial crisis, they ended the
Pontiac,
production.
which is the biggest shame ever because that was my favorite GM brand of all
I
time.
had a '77 Grand Am, that was my first car.
Yep. They were awesome. Yeah, I had a Grand Am too. They were badass cars. I loved it.
Yeah. I was 8
Yeah.
years old, I got it. Yeah, it was a bit of a tank, and I was getting frustrated because it was costing me $20 to fill up the tank. Boy, do I sound like an old codger.
Now, in today's world, that would cost you like $175 to
That's
fill
5
the tank
gallons,
up.
4 or 5 gallons, that's all that is. It was a big tank, it was like a 20-gallon tank.
Yep.
Well, I can't remember at this point, but it was
Yeah,
interesting.
and you
Alright.
managed to get 8 gallons to the mile, so yeah.
No, it was better than that, but, yeah, it was brutal. Alright, so interesting enough, I swiped this, I think, off of LinkedIn. So
Mm.
Disney balkers balk at
God.
$10 million Super Bowl ask for a 30-second ad. Now, if you remember, I remember when this thing hit 1,000,000,
Yeah,
and that was
that
like
was like a
30
big
years ago.
yeah, that was like a big thing. Now they're just off the charts.
And then obviously you see the last line there. As the game goes on, the average cost is 7 to 8 million.
Yeah.
But if you want to get in early and you want to make sure you're getting a prime spot, whatever they consider a prime spot, usually it's in the first quarter or first and second quarter, it's going to ask for 10 million.
Yeah.
Hey, with all the funny money sloshing around, I don't know. I will say this, not a recommendation. Disney has been suffering the stock for quite some time. Even
Mhm.
with Iger coming back, it really hasn't done much.
Yeah.
It's selling for around 100. Price target, the average price target's $150 plus or
Yeah.
minus.
Yeah.
I don't see it. Their ESPN is falling off the map. Just I don't see it. Disney is hurting, and they're not getting
Well, it's
people.
mainly theme park revenues, and they're even starting to see people balk on the theme parks at this point because they priced them so stinking high that people are going, I can't spend $14,000 to take a family of 4 to a theme.
I'd seen an article that no hotel. If you just want to go for 2 days, take a
Yep.
family of four,
Yep.
it's like 1,500 to 2 grand,
Yeah.
depending on the type of ticket. Remember, you have your
Yep.
regular ticket, you have your fast pass, you have your ultra fast pass, and then
Mhm.
forget about the food and if you're going to buy whatever else. I don't know the average family that can afford that. Now add in airfare, now add in hotel,
Yep.
possibly car. Although if you're staying on a Disney hotel property, they got shuttles, which we did one time. Also, I know like for the food, there are food plans that you can
Yep.
get onto for the budget conscious. Even
Yeah.
so, I don't know how the average person can do that,
Yeah.
or the average family.
Yeah, you can't. It's Crystal and I used to go to Disney all the time. We would go usually every other year, and we hadn't gone in a while because we were actually going to the real world. And we were like, hey, maybe we'll just do that. And it was cheaper to go fly to England, spend an entire week in England, with food and everything else, it was cheaper than going to Disney and getting the fake experience for 5 days. We went for 10 days to England, double the time, and I spent probably $3,000 less than I would have spent at Disney.
Yeah. The last
Yeah.
quick point there is I haven't been to the one out in LA since I was a kid. But
Yeah.
I will tell you, if you're going to Orlando, I like Universal Studios better. Oh,
Eh,
I think it's more
I
for
don't
adults anyway, but that's beside the
yeah,
point.
not a fan. I
All
don't like
right.
getting spit in the face.
Okay. All right, here we go. I thought this was an interesting thing. Going back, remember to the bad business
Yeah.
decisions we used to do? These were all
Yep.
actually pretty good decisions. So these were what companies started at to
Huh.
eventually how they pivoted and morphed over time. So Nokia actually got its start as a paper pulp factory.
Yep.
Nintendo, which we all know as
Yeah.
a video game company, originally sold playing cards in 1889. Raytheon, i.e. RTX, was in the refrigeration business.
Yep.
So I thought that was interesting. Samsung was involved in exporting dried fish and produce in 1938. Don't
Okay.
understand that.
Interesting.
We all know DuPont's history, right? They're
Yep.
always called
Gun.
war
Yep.
profiteers, warmongers. They started out as a gunpowder company. American Express was actually, and this might make sense, was delivering packages in 1850 before they
I would
called it.
never thought about it, but that actually makes complete sense why they
Well,
call
look
it
at what
American
was
Express.
Wells Fargo originally. They were a
Yeah.
stagecoach. They
Yeah.
were armored, right? They weren't a bank.
Yeah.
Bayer,
Bayer.
I actually did know this. They actually were in the original production of dyes in 1881 before selling aspirin. And apparently, many of these bottles contain heroin with the bank.
Sweet. Gotta
Well,
love it.
remember, Coca-Cola originally had Coke in it.
It had
The
cocaine. Yeah.
original.
That's why it has the name.
No wonder it
Yep.
gave you a good buzz.
Yeah.
William Wrigley, I did not know this.
Huh.
He used to just give away the gum free to customers who bought his soap. I did not know that.
Gum good, soap sucks.
Yep. So a nice PSA for everybody, public service announcement. Just in case you didn't know, just a little bit more information you can share with some friends today.
And Raytheon, you said it makes Tomahawk missiles. They were a refrigeration company. They make really cool missiles. So let's go
Absolutely.
with
Well,
that.
they make the Patriot missiles, so they're going to be around for a while. All right. So I meant to bring this up last time. We didn't get really a chance to get into it. Moody's Analytics, Mark Zandi, you've seen him on all the shows. So these are 22 states that are near or could be in a recession. Now, this is a combination of not just US GDP information, but also real estate too, because Realtor.com contributed in this. I thought this was interesting. Look at the red states. Obviously, your state, my state, we're expanding. Why? Because we got all the Californians that are moving in. Many of the Midwest people are moving in. And
Well,
we're
we've
still
also got the
going.
companies moving in. That's the other part of it.
I think Mississippi is always teetering on a recession.
Yeah, it just they don't have any industry there. Interestingly, South Dakota surprises me with all the oil drilling and everything going on. That's actually very surprising.
You mean South Dakota, right?
Yeah, South Dakota. Yeah.
I agree. And they got the Mount Rushmore and the Black Hills there and Sturgis. And yeah, I don't understand that. But I guess Alaska and Hawaii, I guess that's about right, because mainly Hawaii is tourism.
It's all
right?
tourism.
Where are they going to expand?
Yeah. Yeah, they're just going to tread water. Minnesota, they've lost all their industry and fraud. That's going to be a contraction for them for a while.
Yep. And then on the right side, just as some narrative to it. So with some markets, you're seeing slowing job growth, reduced consumer spending, and softening housing demand, which we've seen. I could tell you here in Phoenix, which was one of the hottest markets in 2020, 21, and 22, the inventory, from what I understand, hasn't even gone back to the average inventory since before COVID, and it's been hovering around half to 2/3 of where it was. And with mortgage rates hovering around above 6, I don't see that the inventory going up. And then below that, obviously, houses are holding value, lower inventory, which we just spoke about, and buyer competition. So unless people have to move, they're holding fast.
Yeah. And it surprises me there with Pennsylvania that Pennsylvania is in an expansion. It must be the western part of the state because
Manufacturing technology, remember,
Yeah.
pharmaceutical is real big,
Yeah.
especially in the southeastern part of PA.
But man, I tell you, Philadelphia, walking around that city, that is a dying inner city, is all I can say.
The one thing about Philadelphia, if you know where to go, which is why I wish I would, there are many pockets which are great. There are many terrific neighborhoods, but I
Yeah.
will say this, and I'm probably going to get whacked for it. It's not a great place if you want to raise a family in the inner
Yeah.
city. It is not a
Yeah.
great place. Schools, the cost, everything else, there's really no place for the kids to play. They have some very nice parts, which I'm not sure if you saw any. They have some
Yeah.
really nice parts, but it's not a place where you're really going to raise a new family.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you could just see, I think the next generation of artists and stuff like that neighborhood that where your cheesesteak place was, we
South
walked
Street.
through there. Yeah. That we walked through there and I'm like, okay, there are very few businesses left. And then you start to see the sex shop kind of businesses and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, then you're going to get all the
You got to
artists
keep
moving
away
in.
from these places.
I know. I had my wife with me and she's just a little weird that way.
She is married to you, so you got to give her a
That
little
is
credit.
true, and she's been married to me for a long time. All right, let's take a look at the economic calendar real quick here. Do. All right. So this week, probably one of the best pieces of news today was the jobless claims. We actually came in way below where they were expecting. They were thinking about 212. We came in at 189. So good news on that point. Now it could change next week, but we'll say that it's a good news for this week. Housing starts and permits. I still love this. We're still in government shutdown mode on these numbers. I'm like, can you not do a double up 1 month and get caught up? We're still looking at March numbers. They were supposed to report on the 17th, and they're reporting all this stuff today. Housing starts permits going up. If you remember the last one, it was actually trending down for a couple weeks. So hopefully this is an uptrend that we see going forward. Durable goods orders, I thought were really good because they've been negative for a couple months. Consensus was that they were going to be up a little bit, and they were actually up more than what was expected at 0.8. Once again, we're moving in the right direction there. GDP, this was the surprising one because consensus was 2. We came or 2.1. We came in at 2, so right on the money. PCE 1.6 or on the top end of that GDP there. GDP is still strong. We were at 0.5 last month. So we're back in the game again, at least with that. And then really the number that the Fed looks at is personal income and outlays. This is the PCE price index. Came in where consensus was. It's higher than where it was the previous month. I don't think that's a surprise to me. I don't think it's a surprise. We've got higher gas prices, which are pushing everything up, but it's not like it's completely off the charts too high or anything like that. You look at it year over year, we're at 3.2. Of course, the Fed wants it to be at 2, which I don't see that happening ever in our history, but we'll go with what the Fed thinks. Fed decided to do absolutely nothing, which we expected and probably won't be forever. And it looks like we're going to have Jerome Powell around like mold, who's just not leaving.
He has no
No matter.
influence. He's not a voting member moving forward.
Yeah, I know, but he's just going to hang around like old luggage and just
Actually, I
to
don't
do.
blame him, but
Yeah,
that's beside the point.
whatever. Once again, he said he would not leave if there was still an active case against him. Okay, there's no active case. Go away now.
No, there is.
No, there isn't. No, they canceled all that
No,
this
they
week.
didn't. You look it up. I'm telling you,
Oh,
there's an active case.
whatever. I thought they'd said they got rid of it. So,
No, they're still
because
trying to
that's why
nail them
Tom
all.
Tillis, that's why Tom Tillis decided to vote for Kevin Warsh because they got rid of the case against him at that point.
That's all right. You know, one of the other numbers that came out today was the jobless claims, which they said was one of the best in many years. I know you didn't show that, but
Yeah, I
I
did.
heard that on
That
the
was the
way
first
in
one.
this morning.
Yeah, 189. It was awesome. Yeah, I was the
Yeah,
first
they
one.
said I think it's the best in like several decades.
Yeah.
I don't know how that is, but
Once again, it was down. Initial claims were down 26,000 this week, which is fantastic. That's a really good move. That it means, people are struggling, but at least they have jobs at this point, and we're not seeing big layoffs.
the other thing too, and I never I mean, I like following a lot of the economics. The one thing I don't want to say never understood, but I never understood when you take what I'm about to say and apply it to either the claims or the unemployment rate. I never got it. And that's
Mhm.
the overemployed versus the underemployed. And one of
Underemployed, yeah.
those is the ones that are out of work and stop looking. So I guess they're
Yep.
off of unemployment insurance, but not on anybody's payroll. And you know what
Mhm.
I mean? So when you get the unemployment number, does that still include the people that are not on unemployment insurance? But I
Yeah.
never understood how that Fakakta formula really worked
Well,
or
and then you've
stuff.
got the whole, yeah, the underemployed, which is they're people that aren't working a full 40 hours. They're basically kind of part-time or whatever. Or they're people that underemployed, if I remember correctly, too, includes people that like may have 2 or 3 part-time jobs. They're considered underemployed, but they're not unemployed at that point. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of different goofy bits and pieces of that mix. But I think this one's just just sheer jobless claims, period. So this is initial claims for the week,
Gotcha.
effectively, that you get, and that's every Thursday we get that number. But
Next
I mean, it's
Friday, right? We'll have our podcast next Thursday. Next
yeah,
Friday is the unemployment number for April.
yeah. And we'll
We'll
get
see where that
ADP
is.
early in the week, so we'll get a feel for it with ADP early in the week, and
Yeah,
then we'll
we
get
didn't,
the
other
actual
than
number.
Meta and a couple of other tech companies, really haven't heard of any major layoffs.
Yeah.
So the number probably is just probably just steady.
And I think what I'm hearing in the tech industry is AI is having some effect, but a lot of these companies are just saying, "Hey, okay, we don't need you for this job inside the company. We still value you, so we need to train you in a different role within the company." So the companies aren't just outright chopping headcount. They're going in and saying, "Okay, all right, we've got these easy jobs that can be done. These repetitive jobs can be done by AI. Now we need a human brain to do these jobs, and we need to train you in some of these other roles."
Yeah. Well,
So,
we'll have to see. I had some spirited conversations with people over the last week on the trip and back about AI. And I said, you
yeah.
know what? And we've talked, I think it's going to end up creating net jobs. Yes.
Oh, it
Will
is.
it get rid of some jobs initially?
Yep.
Absolutely. Will it get rid of some tedious tasks? Absolutely.
Yep.
But net, I think it's going to end up creating jobs. Just look at evolution of technology over the years. We've talked about this. We did it in a podcast. Is it going to be right away? No. Over time, I think it's going to create. We'll see.
Yeah, I was listening to the news one morning on the business news. What would you think is the highest paying job right now? The highest paying job that people are getting hired for right now
In tech or in general?
in general? Non-professionals, doctors and lawyers and stuff like that.
Non-professional? So, and is it tech?
I'll say it's tech. You'll never guess it. Yeah.
Maybe working in something that has to do with a data center, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Nope. AI content creators are the highest paid people right now.
That is tech.
Yeah, it is tech, but you still have to be able to write too.
Well,
But AI content creators.
okay. And I'll dovetail that real quick as a last point, which is the other part of that is with AI, one of the ways that AI will be able to help you is creating agents.
Yeah.
So I want to run these 5 reports every single Monday and go out
Mhm.
and grab all the new data. Each one of those is an agent or one
Yep.
or so you still need somebody to create the agents, monitor the agents,
That's
update
correct.
and enhance these agents over time.
Yeah.
So
So you need
so
human
the
brains. Yeah,
programmers are
you
going to go
can't.
away because AI is
Yeah.
going to create the code, but now you still need someone to create agents. Will they create an AI agent to create AI agents? Maybe, but
Probably
even
not.
so, a person has to say, I want this,
Yeah.
and it has to go out and create that.
Yeah, I'll give you a perfect example of how, you work with AI. Before I left for vacation, I knew I was going to come back and hit the ground because I've got to do some major restructuring of my businesses and stuff like that. So I spent 2 days inside of Claude going, okay, here's what my goal is for my business. Here's my businesses. I want to cut it down to 3 lines. Here's what my goals are. And we sat down and worked together to plan this out. And I literally have a checklist for the next 90 days of every single thing I need to do every single day that pulls all this stuff together. I could have spent 3 months doing that and not gotten all this stuff done. So it's amazing how fast things can do. And I hear kids complaining today that we're going to go to college, we're not going to have jobs because of AI. You know what?
Learn.
Stop smoking weed, stop drinking on the weekends, spend some time on AI.
Stop doing
learning how to do
Minecraft.
this. Yeah, stop getting on Minecraft and playing video games and go in and learn how to do some of this stuff. Try it.
Or go learn how to program video games.
Yes. Yeah. The problem is a lot of that stuff's going to be taken out. A lot of the coding side of it is going to get taken out. Most video games are actually
You'll need
designed by
someone to
artists.
have creation.
Yeah, most of them are designed by artists. That was the fallacy I had. I actually did a presentation at the company that bought out Atari one time, and I was talking to the guy who owned the company, and I made a joke about you guys all went to you all went and learned how to program and all this stuff, and they all looked at me like I had 3 heads. And when afterwards he was talking to me, he goes, "No, they're all art people. They're all from art programs because we have people that program the computer program that they use then to do the art part of it and make it look right." So yeah, most times they're not programmers. They're actually artists.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So,
all right.
Yeah, cool. Folks, thanks a lot. We're glad to be back. We will see you guys the next time.